New York City thrived on momentum. Even at night, even in the rain, it refused to rest. Claire Morgan usually moved with it. Quick steps, headphones in, thoughts neatly packed away. That night, she was late and distracted, her mind cluttered with unfinished edits and the quiet fear that her life was passing by without her permission. She collided with him outside a narrow cafe in Brooklyn. The impact wasn't dramatic, but the moment was. "I'm sorry," she said, already stepping back. "It's okay," he replied, his hand briefly steadying her arm. There was something in his voice, calm, grounded, that made her pause. Noah Reed, that was his name, she would learn minutes later, when a sudden blackout plunged the cafe into darkness and forced strangers into conversation. They talked by candlelight while the city held its breath. Books, work, the loneliness of being surrounded by millions and still feeling unseen. When the lights returned, Claire felt oddly disappointed. "Coffee again?" Noah asked, hesitant. She said yes, unaware that the smallest choices often carried the greatest consequences. Outside, Noah checked his phone. A message waited. "Don't do this." He slipped the phone into his pocket and followed her anyway. Their relationship didn't ignite, it unfolded. They met after work, on weekends, in borrowed hours between responsibilities. Noah listened more than he spoke. Claire filled the silence with stories, opinions, confessions she didn't realize she'd been holding back for years. He was a paramedic, the kind who stayed calm in chaos, the kind who carried exhaustion like a permanent shadow. Sometimes, mid-conversation, his eyes would drift, his jaw would tighten. Then he'd return, smiling faintly, as if nothing had happened. "You okay?" she'd ask. "Just tired," he'd answer. Claire didn't push. She had learned long ago that pushing people made them leave. She started to fall in love without noticing the moment it happened, and Noah started to care more than he had planned.
Claire noticed the patterns. Noah never spoke about his past before the job. He avoided questions about old relationships. He flinched at certain sirens. He woke up some nights gasping for air, apologizing to no one. One evening, she saw the scar on his wrist. "It's old," he said quickly. She believed him, or chose to. Then came Emily. Claire met her outside Noah's apartment, a woman with tired eyes and too much familiarity. "You must be Claire," Emily said. "I'm family." The pause was barely noticeable, but it stayed with Claire. That night, curiosity overcame trust. She searched Noah's name and found the article.
The headline shattered the version of Noah she thought she knew. A patient, a delayed decision, a death, an investigation that ended without charges, but not without consequences. When she confronted him, the silence hurt more than the truth. "I wanted to tell you," he said. "When?" she asked. "After I built my life around you?" He told her everything then, about the guilt, the nights he replayed the call, the belief that happiness was something he no longer deserved. "I didn't lie to manipulate you," he said. "I lied because I was afraid." Claire stood, shaking. "I can't be part of this," she said, though every part of her wanted to stay. She walked away, and Noah watched her go, convinced he had finally proven himself right. Days passed without word. Noah stopped answering calls. He missed shifts. The weight he had been carrying finally pressed him flat. Claire tried to move on. She failed. Anger dissolved into fear, fear into regret. Then a message appeared on her phone. I'm not okay. That was all. She didn't hesitate this time. They talked for hours about pain, about responsibility, about the difference between guilt and accountability. Noah admitted he had been punishing himself for years. Claire admitted she was terrified of loving someone who could fall apart because she knew how close she always was to doing the same. "I don't need you to fix me," he said quietly. "I don't want to," she replied. "I want to understand you." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a beginning. Healing wasn't romantic. It was therapy appointments, uncomfortable conversations, setbacks. Trust rebuilt slowly, unevenly. Claire began writing again, not editing but creating. Noah learned to accept help without shame. They argued, they doubted, they stayed. 1 year later, Claire held her published novel in her hands. Noah watched her with quiet pride. "You didn't give up," he said. "Neither did you." They stood on the sidewalk outside the bookstore, the city alive around them. Love, Claire realized, wasn't certainty. It was choice, every day. And as Noah reached for her hand, she chose him, not because he was unbroken, but because he was real. The city moved on. They did too, together.